Okay. Whenever they drill this well here, we had already drilled our well, planned on hoop houses. We had it flow rated, tested, and we had no idea that anything could ever happen. And we made quite a bit of an investment. And when they come in and drill this well, immediately after they started this, our bird bath here, if you turn water on to fill the bird bath, the foam would go plumb to the ground. They used foaming and inhibitors while they was drilling this well. The sound was unbelievable. We'd leave. They quit for a few days. We'd come back. They start another phase and project. We'd leave. And one time we didn't leave was when they was completing the well. And they did what they called air fracking, which was worse than the chemical fracking that most people know. I got up one morning. I was bothered. We were really concerned because we knew, we checked with the state geologists and people that said our well and this well was recharged from the same source. That meant that our well, if they pumped this dry, that my well would go dry. So I was bothered and troubled, and I went back to the 80 acres behind here, and I was cleaning out briars. And for some reason or another, I quit and came back home. And when I come back in, I walked in the back door and hollered Mary, and I got no answer. And when I walked in and walked back toward the living room, she was sitting just perfectly still, and her face was just unbelievably dark. And I immediately had been around oil and gas stuff, and I immediately knew what the problem was. And I called her and I went to her. When I tried to pick her up, I had basically picked, she couldn't help herself up. She didn't answer, she didn't respond in any way, she didn't resist, as if she knew somewhere or another that she maybe try to help. And I got her out the back door, we come around and got in the car, and my first thought was, hey, if I hit this ignition on this car, we may both be blown to kingdom come. But I didn't have any choice. I knew I had to get her out of here, and I couldn't carry her out. So I got in the car with the doors open, went ahead and started the car and got it out, and we got on the way. I rolled down all the windows. When we got from here to Hackett, several mile drive, her color began to turn to more of a reddish purple. And when we got to the hospital and went through the routine, and when they checked her blood pressure was like 237 over some figure. I forget what it is. We got the papers in there, I think. But anyway, she began to, it got better. They kept her there until her blood pressure come down to 170 something and began to get normal. And the doctor was filling out the papers and said it would be all right for us to go home. And she was talking, but she couldn't remember anything that morning. She didn't remember sitting down. She didn't remember what she was doing. She didn't remember anything except until she kind of woke up and come to in the hospital. But we was talking, and the doctor looked up and he said, well, he said, if you'd been another 10 minutes, you'd have probably been too late. And we thought that she'd be all right. He says when the methane gas was all the signs and everything, he's quite sure that was overdose of methane gas that they was letting out of their blood, and they would blow the well clean. They always do that. And I should have known better, but I never thought about it. I didn't think about them doing anything without saying anything. And when the wind started blowing, coming through this valley here, Sugarloaf Mountain there and the Gap Road, and that wind comes right through here, they was blowing it more or less the east, and that wind caught it and brought it through here, and it was just like this swamp, this place in gas. All of her young trees at the time that was out here died later. We thought Mary would be all right. He said you go to your doctor and consult with him in the next 2 or 3 days, and especially see about make sure of the blood pressure. Well, we didn't do that, and we thought everything would be all right. And nobody said anything, and I didn't understand and didn't know that when you got extreme high blood pressure, you damage the retinas in people's eyes. And she went completely blind in one eye and partially blind in the other. And meantime, she lost her hearing, a big part of it. She didn't have the ability to smell or taste very well. And Mary's had other problems. I know it affected her mentally. She says she's not afraid, but if you watch her when I'm not around, she walks out the door. Either door, she'll look all around before she'll walk out the door. It's things that never happened before. It was this well here that you see in the background has robbed us of our security and our future, our income. They've taken all of their water. I guess they're hauling it to frack because they're hauling it. We've followed the truck all the way up through Fort Smith north, going up toward where they was drilling in the mountains up there. So we're sitting here without any water. They still haul. When their pump quits, mine will quit. And I don't have any water left here. Without water here, I don't have a hoop house. I don't have anything here. We don't have any security here when they've taken our water. The state law says that they cannot directional drill until they're at least under 300 foot before they can start directional drilling. These wells had to be started right at the surface because they're only 350 to 400 feet deep, and then they went into the coal seam. So they had to start directional drilling at the surface, which is contrary to state and federal law. But I can't enforce that law. It takes the state and federal to do that, and they won't. And also Arkansas has a law, and they argued, some of the state representatives, that you can only, and state water board people, you can only take your fair share of the law of water. And I asked them if their fair share was all of the water, and they say, well, absolutely not. Arkansas law forbids them to do that. But Arkansas has to enforce that law. I can't enforce that law, and they refuse to do that. And we counted 30 water wells around in this area. There's not anybody in this area that hasn't told me that I've talked to that says they destroyed the quality of their water. The water wells are going dry. The spring that used to feed Sugarloaf Creek has gone dry now, and they still continue to pump. These pumps will run until they run out, and they quit. More water migrates in, it'll start back up again. And this is the same thing that our water wells are doing. The state geologist, like I said before, the state geologist in the beginning told me that my water and their water recharges from the same source. When they're dry, I'm dry, and all these other water wells, and we can't do anything about it. And our water well was drilled with the intent of produce production. Now there'll be no produce production. The water quality is gone. We pay for the trucks that runs up and down these roads, and they hardly pay any taxes at all. I just don't know why that our Governor BB, all he has to do is to put things in motion, and all of this could be regulated and stopped. And if anybody asks me if I'm mad at these gas companies, they're out-of-state people, they don't pay taxes, they're not going to be here. Once they ruin everything, they're going to be gone, and we'll still be here if we live. I just don't understand, and a lot of other people, why BB won't do something or say something for the people in the state of Arkansas. We're the one that pays his salary. We're the one that put him in office. And I hope someday soon that we're the ones that takes him out of office. He has done not one thing that I know of to benefit the people of Arkansas.